It had to be such, otherwise we wouldn't have anything to test you on, and science would be boring. So again, the whole key now is to get the initiator-specific methionine tRNA into the P site. And remember that EFTU in its GTP-bound form normally delivers amino-acylated tRNAs to the A site. So we can employ EFTU to help us bring a special tRNA to the P site when EFTU is designed to bring boring tRNAs to the A site. So of course the cell just uses a different factor. And in this case it uses a factor known as elongation eukaryotic initiation factor 2, or EIF2. EIF2, like many translation factors, is a GTP-dependent creature. So EIF2 sort of plays the role of EFTU in that when the amino-acyl tRNA synthetase releases the tRNA that is the initiator tRNA that is charged with methionine, initiation factor 2. Somebody watching a movie on their computer over there? Oh, they're fixing the doors. All right, I thought it was that thing on the side. Playing music to it. Anyway, let me back up. I want to back you up because you need to see this comparison, so I apologize for the clicking. Here's normal, basic elongation. Remember that the blue molecule at the very top of the screen was released from an amino-acyl tRNA synthetase with a very high energy linkage between the amino acid and the tRNA. That linkage needed to be protected, covered, buried, and basically retained until such time that the amino-acylated tRNA bound into the A site. The protector of that realm was EFTU. And once EFTU said that the right tRNA was into the A site, it cleaved its GTP into a GDP form, and it released it to allow things to happen. Now realize we're not going into the A site, we're initiating. We need to go into the P site. So EFTU is not involved, but initiation factor 2 is involved. And it's sort of annoying that it's called TU, which some people enunciate 2, and number 2, which people always enunciate as 2, so don't get them confused. I can tell you from years of teaching this that people get them confused. So the initiation factor 2, in a very similar or analogous form, brings the initiator-specific amino-acylated tRNA with methionine to the P site. Once it's brought to the P site, the entirety, and notice that that binds to the small ribosome all by itself. It's brought there in the absence of any RNA. In the very top panel, the RNA isn't even involved yet. So the small subunit of the ribosome must bind the initiator tRNA all by itself. That contrasts with bacterial initiation, where the RNA must physically bind to the ribosome, specifically the small subunit, before the initiator tRNA is bound in place. Once it's bound in place, we bring in our messy, heavily modified RNA. The RNA 5' cap, and more specifically the structures that are bound to it. You guys have learned about initiation factor 4E and 4G. Those interact with the initiating tRNA, the initiating amino-acylated tRNA in the P site, and that disrupts the interactions with the poly-A binding protein, and it pops the circle open. So people start holding hands and touching and everything along those lines, and life is good. Now that my right hand works again, I can do good things. You're falling asleep, and so I'm going to start beating you with Snickers if you fall asleep, okay? So don't fall asleep. Oh, right hand still does not work very well. I'm going to start throwing Snickers at you left-handed, all right? Stay awake. Stay awake. It's good for you. You need a Snickers, or you just waving at me? Have a Snickers. It's good for you. There you go. Does that work? Anybody else tired?